Well, at least we know that Picard thinks about the Roman Empire.
Are you sure you don't want to watch Season 4, Episode 1 right now? It's driving me nuts that I can't.
I think having a few weeks between will really get us hyped for that episode. And if we watched it right now or like Monday or something, we wouldn't have that high that we did coming into this. I think it will, delayed a little bit longer. We'll have that high. But it's not going to be too long.
Yeah, I don't watch anything on TV I can't say that word. Regularly, except The Boys. That's the one active TV show. And House of the Dragon, but I took a break watching that. But every Boys episode that came out, I watched and it was so exciting to be like, there's that week of anticipation. I missed that. Because when Netflix came out and the boom of their shows all at once, it was neat. But I missed the anticipation of the next episode. Because with cliffhangers and shows coming out right away, it's like, oh, it's right there. Look at that.
Yeah, when Disney Plus was first coming out and they announced they were going to do weekly instead of binge, I was like, yes, it's so smart. It's like streaming, takes all the things away from cable that aren't good, like the ads, all those things. Nothing being on demand, right? But then by switching to a binge model, it robbed it of the good things cable had and broadcast TV had, of the weekly waiting, and things like that. I really thought it was really smart when HBO Max started debuting their shows at 9 o'clock Eastern instead of 3 a.m. Eastern because it's midnight.
Yeah.
So I really liked that. But then everything on Disney Plus was ass after a year. So and I don't even know if they're doing the weekly anymore. I think they still are.
For the Star Wars
show, Acolyte and stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of streamers have started to do more like the weekly. I know HBO still does for their stuff. But what was my original point? This was the first time I've ever yelled at the TV when the credits rolled. What a powerful close to a strong season. Yeah, we both did yell. I said, fuck you, or fuck off. I can't remember.
I think we both yelled something similar. I've never been so mad. And what an effective tool, because we've never had a TNG episode end that way. So I wasn't even expecting it. So while the last act was happening, I'm like, this feels like a really long episode. How are they going to resolve this battle? To be continued, fuck!
I don't know. Something about me really loves when a show wraps their season on a bow. But this isn't serialized, so it doesn't matter, I guess.
Yeah, it did something it hasn't done before, so.
True.
I gotta give it credit. Finally, as others have said, one of, if not the greatest cliffhanger TV ever produced, ... Can you imagine back in the day having to wait so long until part 2? This, along with the next part, which I'm obviously not going to spoil, has always felt to me a turning point in Trek writing. Things can get a whole lot darker going forwards, lol. Darker, you say?
We've talked about that a lot. Some people have said that's DS9. Some people have said other things. Some people have refuted that and are like, DS9's not that dark. So I don't know. But Turning Point has something that a TNA named a pay-per-view.
TNA Wrestling presents Turning Point live December 5th on pay-per-view.
But it's also something that people have said about this that made me excited for it, because that was part of the reason I was like, oh, the whole, what we were saying, beginning of the end of the beginning. Mm-hmm. And I definitely did feel it. I mean, obviously the cliffhanger makes you feel that. That's different of it in itself.
Yeah. But
even just the whole thing about the character stuff with Riker that's, not addressed in one episode, all of that. So I'm very excited. Question. Did either of you know in advance that this was not a standalone episode? I seem to recall at least one exchange between a commenter and Josh, either on YouTube or Patreon, which might have given it away. Do you want to go first?
Well, based on my reaction, no. I had no idea.
I did not know that it was a to be continued ending. I didn't know it was a, literal cliffhanger. But of course, yes. I mean, along with the hype for the episode, there's been a whole bunch of, oh, they won't want to take a break after season 3. Oh, can't wait to, you know what I mean? There's been a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
And also, even people commenting, make sure you watch the correct version of season 3, because I'm guessing, there's a version out there somewhere that's combined. Maybe the syndication version. I don't know. But, yeah, I did not know what the ending was, but I knew that it wasn't a... I knew something was going to happen. I guess that's the best way to put it. I knew something was going to happen. Did you have any thoughts on Ron Jones' score for this episode? I think it goes a long way towards selling the Borg as a terrifying civilization-ending threat. Colin chimes in that Ron Jones' score is A+ in my opinion. We didn't talk about it. Thought it was good. It wasn't something that I felt like I need to bring up because there's so much in this episode that it wasn't like the highlight. I liked that the Borg got like a little introductory theme when they showed up. And it definitely, the intensity, like, yeah, it definitely good score. This wasn't one of those, though, where I'm going to bring up the score like intentionally necessarily. It more so just like added to how good the episode was.
Yeah. Score is the hardest thing that sticks in my brain. I don't know what it is. The imagery and the words spoken and the actors, that always is pretty good fresh in my head. But the score, unless it's like very distinct with like flutes and Tin Man, or this with the Borg being shown, a stark contrast to the music we usually hear. It was like, oh, they have a theme song. Like, oh my God, this is. Because it sounded like the music was coming from the Borg. It's like, are they blasting their own theme song? But yeah, it just gets louder to get closer.
Yeah, someone pulling up, blasting their radio in the car. Yeah.
This episode has it all. Excellent writing, acting, and a true cliffhanger. This episode really propelled the next generation to incredible heights. Myself, being a TOS fan, I found myself really embracing this series now. Hard to find a flaw with anything here. Makes you really want to tune into season 4, doesn't it?
Well, it definitely does. I think that's very interesting. Dale says, as being a TOS fan, this is where he embraced the series. Obviously, we've said before we were on board since day one with TNG because that was our whole reason for starting, as much as we love TOS.
Right.
But obviously, TOS fans not liking TNG is something that I've been curious about since we started the show, and like, when did they catch on, those that did. So this episode, it doesn't surprise me it would be something like this, because it's obviously a cliffhanger. Like, I could see this episode being talked about in mainstream culture after it aired. You know what I mean? Like, did you see Star Trek last week? Like, holy shit. You know, and that's going to get people involved who didn't watch it before.
That's a good point. But like, this being the one that brings people in is crazy to me. Like, I know my brain works differently than everyone else, but I feel like there's such other good episodes before this one that could have been like, hey, like Measure of a Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think, I'm not sure if my girlfriend watched TNG, but I'm like, hey, Measure of the Man was like, we're watching this one. Get over it.
Get over it. Yeah. That's why I'm saying, like, maybe just from the standpoint of, like, maybe they were a TOS fan, checked out TNG's pilot and went, like, not for me, and maybe just didn't even hear about it until the season 3 finale and people were actually talking it up, and they're like, oh, okay, I'll check it out. Like, maybe.
Yeah, true. But do you think they checked it out without even seeing Q Who? You know what I mean? Is the episode good enough?
And how, yeah.
Good enough on its own that we don't need, like, would they be confused?
And
with Whoopi Goldberg being there?
And yeah. Who's she? And, like, how would they think about any of Riker's character stuff? I don't know. That's interesting. I mean, I think Dale did watch the show. I'm not saying he said that, but that just was my mindset on it.
I gotcha.
Question: how do you feel about Riker in command? I've said since the beginning, like, I love Picard, you know, and Riker very early on too, but, you know, it's been less so. But, you know, it's very similar to the type of captain I think Kirk would be. But with that being said, man, I would have loved Riker as a captain. I don't know if it ever happens, but, like, you know, he is a dude who can lead. Like, you can see it, you know, and, like, him being number one, it does, like, kind of bother me that it's like, this dude's going to be number one the whole series, never be captain. Like, I don't know, maybe we start DS9 and he's the captain. I don't think so, but, you know, maybe that happens. But, yeah, I would love to see him in actual command.
Yeah, but this episode flipped things on its head, because earlier on in the show, pretty much from season 1 on, I thought, yeah, this guy could be captain. Yeah, he's there. He could totally be captain. It didn't really show many of his flaws, per se. Were there any moments where, like, he goes to make a decision, but Picard makes the better right one? Maybe peak performance, maybe, when they were fighting each other? I forget how the resolution to that training battle...
the Ferengi came in and ruined it.
That's why I don't remember it. Okay. But you know what I mean? Like, this was the first episode that showed, like, oh, maybe he doesn't have it because he's not willing to take those risks. So I'm like, oh, it added an extra layer to it. Because before this episode, I'm like, yeah, he should be running some ship. Absolutely, he can totally do it. So to see that other side of him, where I'm like, oh shit, I don't know. I mean, he definitely can, but I'm going to be thinking about that in the back of my mind. It's interesting.
Yeah. And then Andres also gives some trivia here that I'm not going to read it word for word, but he says that basically Michael Piller wrote this one and was like kind of laughing to himself that he thought it'd be difficult for the next guy to solve it for part 2, but then he was asked to stay permanently afterwards, and he had to write part 2 as well.
So you're Ryan Johnston did. That's hilarious. Figure it out.
Figure it out, kid.
Way back in season 1, you guys said Riker would replace Picard, and after Q Who, you said you wanted to see a unique individual Borg. Oh.
I didn't think the individual Borg would be Picard,
No.
but yeah, we did say that. And Riker would replace Picard. I'm guessing maybe like just in one of the jokes that we told. Like I never thought he would actually replace Picard.
Yeah, when Picard was sleepy and his headache and all that.
Starfleet, please be captain. Riker, I don't want to be captain. The Borg, too fucking bad. Forced into it.
That's what the whole plot is. The Borg actually just wanted him to be captain.
After this episode, though, I secretly think he just wants to be captain of the Enterprise and is just waiting out Picard in hopes that like Picard retires and he just naturally gets the spot. That's got to be what he wants.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, he did say, maybe I'm afraid of the big chair. Like, I don't know if he was actually meant that when he said it. But yeah, he's just waiting until Picard dies.
Well, hopefully not die. Yeah, or retires.
Or become an admiral or something, yeah. Like everyone else, longest summer ever, saved by the franchise, yeah. But can we talk about that totally necessary tuck and roll by Geordi when the engineering door was coming down? Riveting stuff. I love that goofy-ass shot. That was great. Indiana Jones Geordi.
As TOS lovers, you need goofy shit in there.
Oh,
it makes it awesome, and I would have done the same thing. Every time I see a mall store closing, I want to do that under the gate, even though I have no desire to be inside.
A lot of people mistakenly consider this a Picard episode because of what happens to him, but not only is it clearly a Riker episode, I would go as far as to say it is the Riker episode. He always wanted to be in charge of his own ship and somehow also stay on the Enterprise. By the end of part 1, he gets to have the best of both worlds. That was,
okay. The Laura at it again.
Well, thank you. We're idiots. Didn't catch that.
He made it up.
So what do you think happens in the next episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation? He puts no spaces between the Next Generation.
Well, what I will say that I haven't already said in the discussion is that I hope in the next episode the promo is done by Don LaFontaine yet again.
Oh, what a great start that would be. Because you guys sometimes like to shave against the grain, I'm going to venture a guess you'll find this one overrated. In the time since this episode came out, cliffhangers have been done better. It's a TNG classic, but its spectacle strengths have diminished with age. The Riker character stuff is great. It's still great.
Yeah, it's a very interesting take. I'm gonna say right off the top, like, we don't like to shave against the grain. We don't know what anyone thinks about these episodes when we fucking watch them and talk about them. Obviously, this one's an exclusion from that. But I'm talking about, in general, 9 times out of 10, we don't know. The fact that we end up loving these episodes that people don't like and that we don't like episodes some people do is like one of the funniest coincidences ever. I swear to God. Like, I would love to be able to fake that and like make it more, better, juicier content, but like we don't. So it's like, stop with that narrative. But secondly,
shave against the grain.
Secondly, I don't think this is overrated. I already said it's not my favorite episode of the season. It might not even be top 3 or top 5. I'm going to have to see. But, like, with that being said, I totally understand the justification of people loving this one and it being their favorite. And if you had seen it at the time, it being incredible. I thought this was a very, very good episode, like I've obviously said. So I wouldn't say it's overrated. To me, it's very similar to The City on the Edge of Forever. City on the Edge of Forever is not my favorite TOS episode. I think it was, like, my number 9 or something. Maybe a number 11, I don't remember.
Did we do TOS in a whole? Okay.
As a whole, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it wasn't my number 1, obviously for season 1 either. But, like, I get it. Like, I get why that's people's favorite. So I feel kind of similar about this. Obviously, you don't think it's overrated either, I would assume.
No, I don't think it's overrated. And cliffhangers have been done better, I'm sure, but we've never seen one done here. So I think that's a great attribute as well, because yeah, sure, cliffhangers have been done better in other shows. Maybe other shows have had more, but in Star Trek as a whole, besides the Menagerie, this is the only other cliffhanger. And to do it with the season finale when it's never been done, I don't think it's overrated at all.
Yeah.
I am brand new here, joining because of this episode alone. I cannot wait for you to see this see this and am of the belief that you will pop hard for the last few minutes. My dad raised me on the show, so I really enjoy getting to experience this with someone new again. Well, welcome aboard, as Badger said right below it. And
We did pop hard.
We did. We popped super hard. But joining for this episode alone, that's crazy. I mean, I've scrolled through and seen some other people saying, this is the episode that saved it. This is the episode, you know, it's like, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I totally get it. And, you know, I hope there's more that join. No, but I totally get it. And I hope you guys enjoyed the reaction and the discussion and everything for this episode, because I really enjoyed it. And I think I am very excited to see. I mean, it's so weird. Season 3 was like this mythical thing, and now it's over, and it's like, what the fuck is Season 4 going to be?
That's the
You
thing.
know?
People have gone into, Season 3. Season 3 is where it's, but yeah, Season 4. I know, yeah, I don't know expectations.
And there's 4 more of them. It's 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 4 more seasons of this show. It's like, it's almost like starting a new show almost, but we're going to wait a couple weeks, so see you then.
Alex and Josh, feel the target audience on a cosmic journey, feeling so immense. They're sitting in a room, ready for the show. Star Trek Next Generation, Season 3, let's go! The first time they've seen this sci-fi sight, only going when romance gone day and night. Synth-pop beats fill the atmosphere. Their minds are racing, filled with wonder and cheer. Cosmic journey, they're feeling the thrill, exploring the stars. Their hearts they can still. Cosmic journey, a voyage so grand. Alex and Josh as fans, they now stand. Cosmic journey, a voyage so grand. Alex and Josh as fans, they now stand.
Picard gets to take a vacation. Picard's idea of fun is a bit different. He isn't much one for sitting idle to relax. He likes a mystery and adventure and gets it here, plus a romance meeting Vash. Riker's little trick on Picard is hilarious. I'll agree there. Overall, it's nice to see Picard have a great time. I like this one very much. I just can't, dude.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Okay.
There we go.